In 2 ABY, Phoenix Squadron and the Massassi group rallied at the planet Alderaan to begin an assault upon the planet Lothal. Unbeknownst to them, Grand Admiral Thrawn had turned a watchful eye onto the Lothal sector and was able to ultimately discern their location before the attack. The Alliance to restore the Republic found themselves outmatched and trapped on the Alderaan planet. The liberation of Lothal would be scrapped. But what would have happened had the Alliance fleet not been stopped by Admiral Thrawn? What if they were able to assault Lothal? Chances are, the liberation of Lothal would have meant that it would share the fate of either Taris or Alderaan. Let's get into it on Lore Reloaded. Watching Star Wars Rebels, it is clear that without Thrawn, the liberation of Lothal would have been a success. Most all other Imperials around Thrawn had shown an amazing inability to do their jobs, at even a basic level. Phoenix Squadron had also wisely been playing the long game. Not generally rushing out, they were able to garner tactical information on the defenses around Lothal, key codes to Imperial ships and security, and they had the element of surprise. Lothal was also the perfect choice, not as heavily defended as the core planets, but a strategic choice due to its production of advanced starfighter technology. The attack on Lothal would also be a huge boost to the Alliance, as it would be the first major assault won by the Rebels. However, it is obvious that the attack was not wholly endorsed by the upper echelon of the Alliance. While a formidable force, Phoenix Squadron and Massassi Group were not even near the true fleet size and power that the Rebels had.
Senator, there must be someone you can send, or something you can do.
I wish I could help you, Commander Bridger, but I can't. Doing so would play into Thrawn's hands, and he would wipe out all we've worked to build.
I know. He planned this.
Senator Organa was right. It was too soon for open warfare against the Empire. I promise you, we will do our best to negotiate fair treatment for the prisoners.
Mon Mothma was unwilling to commit any true resources to this assault out of fear of exposing how large the rebellion had actually become. This would be a character trait Mon Mothma had for many years, including being reluctant to assist in the attack on Scarif. Even without Mon Mothma, Phoenix Group and the Massassi unit would assault Lothal. The attack would come all at once. They would utilize the Imperial codes to either bypass security or as a distraction. The Imperial defenses would be caught completely off guard. This doesn't mean that it wouldn't be a hard-fought battle with a high loss rate for the rebellion, but given the strategic advances the rebels had, it would most likely end with the complete liberation of Lothal, at least for now. We know how big the liberation force was that was to liberate Lothal. We also can have a good idea what may have been the Imperial Lothal defenses, though we would have need to make adjustments for the ships that would have been there solely because of Grand Admiral Thrawn. This gives us a basing on the initial defenses of the planet after its liberation. We also know that the Alliance to restore the Republic was split in its thinking. Some believed that it was too early to attack the Empire, while others wanted to go on the offensive. The liberation of Lothal would have bolstered the ranks of those wanting to go on the offensive against the Empire. There would have also been shockwaves across the galaxy. The Empire had been defeated? The Empire could be defeated? This would mean that resistance movements across the galaxy would have garnered more power and prestige. Of course, this would not be allowed to continue. The Emperor, Darth Vader, Thrawn, and others would be set upon making an example of those who would dare resist the Empire. Galaxy-wide crackdown from the Empire would spread. The Galactic Empire's hand coming down swiftly, who thought this was the time to fight back, though such measures would likely have had the opposite intended result.
The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
At this point, there are two ways this could have gone. In 2 ABY, the Death Star would not be ready, not for at least 2 years. Though the Empire would have a few options. Either send an overwhelming force that would devastate the rebellion, regardless of loss of life on both sides, or diminish all other efforts, leaving Lothal alone until the finishing of the Death Star, and utilize it to prove a point. Both sides have advantages and disadvantages. So for the sake of argument, I'm going to intermingle both. It is plausible that a large fleet would be created and brought to bear upon the Lothal Rebellion defenses. The attack would be aimed to show that the Empire was willing to do anything to win, that the loss of manpower, the loss of ships on both sides didn't matter. This would demoralize the Rebel Alliance. How can you fight someone who is willing to kill you and themselves at the same time? Especially when the enemy can make more ships and get more people than you ever could. And then, in 2 years, with the back of the Lothal defense broken, at some point the citizens of Lothal, and the rebels still there, would see an object appear in the sky. Too big to be a ship, or even a space station, something that would look like a moon. It would be the last thing anyone on that planet ever saw. And now, with both the reports of Jeddah and the destruction of the planet Lothal, the Rebel Alliance could not just ignore these rumors that a superweapon was in use by the Galactic Empire. But that scenario is outside the scope of this video. The last piece would be a young Jedi Padawan who had been taken in, unable to stop his parents from being killed, unable from stopping his mentor from possibly being killed, to finally have hope of a liberated Lothal, only to watch it be destroyed completely by the Death Star, perhaps deciding that, in order to protect the ones he loved, he would have to become the ones he hated.